All right, here we go. Betting Weekly Live here with you on a Monday, a new week of Betting Weekly Live. Of course, Betting Weekly Studios, Bet Rivers Network. Great to have everybody with us here today, and a little earlier starting time as well, 4 p.m. East, 1 p.m. Pacific. Good to have everybody aboard. Mike Carver along with Doug Kezirian as we get ready for all the action tonight. We got Monday Night Football with the Panthers and the Niners. We've got 10 games in the NBA. We've got some hockey. Feast week of college basketball. I mean, it is everywhere today and a lot to get to. Doug, good to see you. How are you?
I always have a little PTSD this time of year from my days at ESPN, where I was sort of the jack of all trades. I was the Ben Zobrist of ESPN at times. So, like, literally in the same week, I had to do college game day radio, sometimes traveling for 7 hours on Saturday. So, obviously, know everything going on in college football, which is fine. Sunday, do like Sports Center. So, I have to be like locked in on everything NFL, then do like women's basketball studio stuff, men's basketball stuff on Thanksgiving. And I can name like, 3 players at Duke. And then I had to do all these like live cut-ins of all these. So just to be so immersed each day with, a different sport and then do the NBA show. So it was really, the volume was so overwhelming, but it was fun. Obviously, I just, this every time Thanksgiving week reminds me of those, like that hell week of just trying to, because the audience is locked in on that one sport. They're diehards of that one sport. And you don't want to be a phony. You owe it to them to be locked in and understand nuance and context of everything. So it was to do a different sport every day. It just reminds you. But from a betting perspective, we got a lot of opportunities on the board. And this is where we put our collective heads together and try to filter out the noise and pick the winners.
That's what we're going to try to do, baby, as we get rolling here on a Monday night. We usually start with the opening line on a Monday. Just some thoughts from the weekend. It was another wild one, Doug, especially when you look at the football in college and in the NFL. We had more coordinators get chopped. Giants, Shane Bowen, defensive coordinator, Chip Kelly with the Raiders chopped. I mean, it was another crazy week, and Lions burned me bad yesterday. I guess the defense didn't get the memo that was supposed to be the smash job of the year against the Giants. Another fun weekend in football.
Jameis didn't get the memo, right?
Oh,
like
Jameis.
he's catching touchdown passes, Heisman posing. He's the power ratings don't apply to him. You got to be really careful when Jameis is involved. But we got a blowout last night. That I'm annoyed I didn't see that coming. The Bucs have really been spiraling in a lot of ways, which opens up the division, which opens up playoff spots. Panthers now potentially could win the division, which is crazy. But you're right. The Chiefs had all hands on deck and had goal-to-goal situations. They fumbled. They also had to settle for a field goal. The Colts could have iced the game 4th and 5. Instead, they punt and turn it over to their bad defense against Mahomes. But Mahomes didn't exactly look perfect. He made some plays, but those throws weren't in stride like we've seen over the recent years. So I wonder if, age or something is starting to show with Mahomes, and the fact that we took it for granted for so long. But either way, Chiefs are back in the mix. Typical football weekend, right? Everyone loved the Saints, had that one go. A lot of people liked the Lions because everyone, memorized the 12 straight, wins off a loss or whatever it was, ATS as well. Sometimes it just doesn't play out that way, but good. Good to get back on track. Like you said, a bunch of hoops going on, among other things.
And I did see in the chat box there already at the bottom that I think it was the Crooked Chef had Lions and Chiefs, money line parlay. Neither of them led until winning the game in overtime. And then if you threw in our other one, Doug, from Friday, which was the Islanders and the Kraken, that was scoreless all the way to a shootout before the Islanders needed an extra round of the shootout to finally beat the Kraken. So that was a very sweaty, whether you did Lions, Chiefs, Chiefs, Islanders, however you did it, it was a very sweaty Sunday for all of those.
So it went to a shootout. Kraken went first. They scored right away.
Yep.
Then the Islanders missed. And I'm like, oh, God. Like, we almost might get dormied here. Mm-hmm. So then the Kraken missed the entire net. And then the Islanders miss.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, God, we're going to get dormied here. And then he hits the guy right in the chest for no reason. And then, fortunately, we went like perfect perfect cobweb corner goal
Bo Horvat.
to force the extra. And then there was like another terrible shot by the – it was just – I'm sitting there in a sports book. Everyone's watching the Cowboys come back. I'm watching this game on my phone. The Kraken had 2 chances to win in the final minute. And then that was regulation. Then overtime was dramatic. We got a power play late. Oh, gosh.
It's you, Dougie Pucks, watching the Islanders and the Kraken at the book during Cowboys and Eagles. You mentioned before that, of course, the Bucks getting smashed last night. That opens up maybe some opportunities for the team that is playing tonight. We begin with Monday Night Football in San Francisco between the Panthers and the 49ers. This was 7.5 this morning and yesterday. Now flat 7 at Bet Rivers for San Francisco with a total of 49.5.
I'd only play the dog here as 7.5. So I'd wait, things like that. The one thing that, so first of all, I'm the founder of the Bryce Young Bust Club. Okay. I had to write a piece for ESPN the day after the draft. And I said they downgraded at quarterback by drafting Bryce Young from Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield. And every Panthers fan just came after me. Because remember, Darnold stunk, Mayfield's. I was like, guys, he's a midget, first of all. Number 2, these guys have like read NFL defenses for a few years. And you know, like, I don't think people realize like how small Bryce Young. I actually saw him at a Super Bowl event, and he's half my size and everything. It's like he's tiny. And so, you know, then the training camp pictures came out and looked like, oh, it's bring your kid to work day. And it's like all of him next to all these huge linemen and everything. But I've really been impressed with how he's turned things around. And I've always rooted for him, right? All counts is like he's loved by teammates, great dude, all that stuff. I just thought, like, look, there's just not many guys at 5'10" who make it in the NFL. And he didn't have the jitterbug speed like Kyler Murray. You know, he's fast, but he's not the elusivity and all that. So, but he's turned the corner. And the thing with the Niners, they don't really get to the quarterback that well, right? So if he's going to have time, and then the play calling's gotten better, it's rolling him out, you know, so we can see the field a little bit better. I think the Panthers can hang around in this game. And I'm not the biggest Purdy guy. There's just not a lot to love with the Niners. My concern is I know a really sharp guy who laid the 7, and he's been on fire this year. He even had the Cowboys as his best bet, plus 3.5. And finally, we thought he'd lose when they were down 21-0. Nope, easy cover, went outright. So I need the 7.5, but I think the Panthers are live here. I really do.
I do as well, Doug. I like you. I liked it a lot more 7.5, and hopefully some grabbed it at 7.5 now that it's gone down to 7. But this is the spot that they've been good, right? I mean, them as a dog is when you play on Carolina. You don't play them in spots like, what was that week they were home and they lost outright to New Orleans, right? They were favored by 4 or 5 against the Saints. They lost the game. Like these games with the Falcons, even though they did beat them, like this is a good Panther spot. Like when they went to Green Bay and a few others, you're getting some points with them. They've been kind of spunky on the road. I don't love Bryce Young either, but I think their run game, maybe, especially with how good Dowdle's been so far this year, and the Niners with no Warner, no Bosa, etc., haven't been that great against the run so far this year. So that's kind of where, as we start maybe leaning into the props portion of this, that I would be looking to go. Before I do, 49.5. Lots of points tonight with these two. I think if Panthers are covering, then probably is a lot of points in the game.
Yeah, I mean, look, so last night's game was 50, right? And the Rams just make it look easy, especially in the red zone inside the 10. Their goal-to-goal situations, they convert. And it looked like we were going to go back and forth, and then obviously the things didn't, slow down the second half with the Baker Mayfield injury. But I just wanted to bring up that game because it gives you sort of a reference of what has to happen to go over 49.5, right? It was 50. So that thing was pacing well. It was 62 at halftime was the live total. And then, but the first half, I mean, the Rams converted everything. They didn't punt. Bucks were, struggling here and there on third down. I just think a lot has to go right for 7 touchdowns.
Right.
And I don't know, on grass, can we get there? But the Panthers play a lot of overs, especially when they're in the dog role. So, yeah, I'd lean that way. And to your point, like if you like the dog, you probably should like the over. Usually it's the other way around. Usually it's dog and under or favored and over. But I think dog and over is the way to play this.
So it seems like when we go to the props, it's the Carolina guys. Now we'll get to McCaffrey in a moment. There's a reason the McCaffrey props sometimes are very tough to stomach, especially
Hey,
tutties. It's tough with them. McMillan tonight receiving 67.5. Dowdle in the rushing game, who's been real good this year, 76.5. So those are the two guys. And out of those two, I like the McMillan. His touchdown number is a little bit better. It's around the 130s. So I don't mind McMillan tonight. I don't mind Dowdle tonight, the two main guys for the Panther offense.
when McMillan came out, some of his like effort was called into question by some rumblings, but they dig up everything, so there's always going to be some naysayers. But I feel like a primetime game, he's going to bring it, right? And obviously his catchability, his catch radius, everything, athleticism is really eye popping. So I just feel if Young's going to have the time, like I think he is, with the limited pass rush of San Francisco, and McMillan's an athletic freak. I do like Dowdle, but I think McMillan's going to get his. I'm on his over.
Yeah, I mean, last week, 12 targets, 8 catches, 130 yards, 2 tutties against the Falcons. And he's been busting out the last few weeks, that's for sure, in that department. As far as the Niners go, McCaffrey 68.5 to the rush. Kittle for the receiving is 55.5. And the Kittle touchdown is silly too. Now I'm going to talk about McCaffrey's touchdown, but the Kittle touchdown's even money tonight at Bet Rivers. McCaffrey -4 Bills. That's -400, Doug, for McCaffrey to score an anytime touchdown tonight.
I'm not going to say it's the dumbest bet I've seen in a long time, but it probably is. So people are like, oh, look at the amount of touchdowns he has. Right. But that's not what this is asking. This is asking if he's going to score at least one in this game. He's gone 4 games this year without a touchdown. Okay. I'm just, as we all know, we've all watched football enough. Like he could be a long touchdown pass to one of the wide receivers from like the 20 or 30, right? He can get inside the goal line and they do like some shovel pass or, something to one of the tight ends. And there's a path for this not to win. And anyone wanting to bet this like in a parlay, SGP or something, just look at the payout. And I encourage this all the time, even when you're going to lay $9 with some college football favorite or an NBA favorite, just put it in the parlay and look at it, and then take it out of the parlay and see how much it changes. You're going to save like 28 cents or 35 cents, and you need Christian McCaffrey to score a touchdown. You have the injury component. You have all this stuff. I just couldn't. No one who's like a professional in this world would ever even look at this line. I would bet the no. Like if there was a yes, no, I would bet the no. Just variance. That's all. I mean, he's a fantastic player. Right. Anybody who's watched the show knows I've been on his over receiving yards in a lot of games, but I just think the numbers got out of whack.
That's -4 Bills, just a little too much. Now, Bet Rivers does have a way for you to play McCaffrey tonight. That is their special at the sports book, giving back Christian McCaffrey to score a touchdown in the first half of Niners Panthers. This is boosted from -105 to +120. So on the surface, Doug, I look at this, I go, this is pretty good. He's -400 for any time. I know I'm only getting the first half, but now I got a plus sign in front of it.
Yeah, no, that now that changes things, right? So you're +120 versus -400 for the game. And again, this is not rushing or this is not receiving. It's either, right? So that's really important in this situation. I would need to know, like, maybe do research. Does Carolina always defer? Do they does San Francisco take the ball? That kind of stuff. Because you get an extra possession. But either way, their team total is going to be what, 13.5 kind of thing, where it's supposed to be 1 touchdown, maybe 2. I think there's probably a little value here. Yeah.
I think there's absolutely a little bit for it. Now he did score he scored in the first half last week. That was when they got that kickoff return down to the 1. He scored like 10 seconds into the game against Arizona, but he did not the couple of weeks before that, as far as the half. So there you go. Niners and Panthers tonight, Monday Night Football, to finish off week number 12. Little futures update. And of course, we got a big week ahead. 3 games on Thursday with Thanksgiving. You got a Friday game with the Eagles and the Bears, the first place Bears, still in the NFC North, and a full slate on Sunday. Anything catch your eyes future wise? This morning, Doug, I was looking at adjusted win totals. just because I was kind of seeing where some
I
of
like
mine.
your style.
I was seeing where some of them were at, where like mine were from before the season, and I was trying to see if there was any adjustments and things. This one caught my eye, and I wanted to bring it up to you. Vikings under 6.5. They have 4 wins right now, so you would need 3 more wins for this to lose. And they're going to play potentially this Brosmer at quarterback this week. I don't even think I would care, Doug, if J.J. McCarthy was playing or not. At Seattle, home for Washington, at Dallas, at the Giants, Lions home, Packers home. So, I mean, 3 of the best teams in the NFC, a Cowboy team that's playing well. When are the Vikings winning 3 more games this year? I don't see it.
I mean, the only thing is McCarthy's been such a net negative. Like, Connell was doing okay with Carson Wentz. So if he just gets a game manager who's not an idiot, who doesn't stink like McCarthy and throws like short hops and all that stuff, then maybe he can eke out some wins. That would be my one concern in that regard.
Well, I'm going to hope that Max Brosmer is also going to.
I think he's a Gopher,
balls.
Right? He's a Minnesota Gopher.
I believe so. I believe that's where they got Max from, as he's a rookie as well. So we'll see. It called to me, Doug, when I looked at it. Just called to me. How are the Vikings winning 3 more games this year? Was there anything else from the weekend? Obviously, these AFC teams. We had the big board up there before. They throw it back up there for a second when you start to look. The Chiefs won, so now they're the highest. Still Chiefs, Bills. The Colts are 11. The Patriots still down at 15 behind all those others. And you're talking about just AFC teams.
But they got some O-line issues right now. So that's a slight concern of me. I like your Vikings play. I was just looking real quick. The Raiders are 3.5. They have currently 2 wins. I mean, they host the Giants in week 16 or 17, and they also play the Chiefs in week 18. But I think KC's going to need the game. But, I mean, they're at the Chargers this week, 10-point dogs.
Yeah.
They got the Broncos. They're at the Eagles. I mean, they have no shot in that game in the cold weather with that defensive line. Then they play the Texans in Houston back-to-back with that D-line against that O-line. They're a hot mess. Now, they did get rid of Chip Kelly, thankfully. But Greg Olson's had this position before. He had it under Gruden. So I think he's going to know what he's doing. I think that's, like the adult in the room, so to speak.
Right.
That's one team that caught me. I talked about it last week. I mean, the Bears to miss the playoffs is interested, but, they apparently are going to win and cover every game. So I'm done going broke against the Bears. I actually teased the Steelers yesterday, so I was able to get the win instead of the loss by a half point. But under 148 certainly seems enticing, but you got to be careful not to overreact. Cowboys came in, they were on a mission with, playing with emotion. The Browns were a terrible matchup. I do think that the Raiders offense can get up and down the field if they can just block. Now, like I said, they're going to face the Eagles and Texans, so they're screwed there. The Chargers are probably going to lose in LA. So maybe they beat the Giants at home. Maybe.
Maybe.
I think under 3.5 is probably a really good bet.
I like it.
They're just, I don't know if Pete Carroll's he's got to be on some form of a hot seat. I just don't know how hot.
Man, a lot more money to shell out, right? For Davis, you got to get
they're
rid of
paying
him.
4 head coaches, so that's always funny to mock. Ooh, how about a Cleveland Browns adjusted win total 5.5? Right, Shador shining.
And they're
I
at
don't know.
And they're at 4 right now. Oh no, they're at 3, right? Did they get their third yesterday?
3. They do host the Titans. Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah, they're not winning. I mean, so that defense is really good, but they have really tough games. So they're home to the Niners next week, then home to the Titans, at the Bears, home to the Bills, home to the Steelers, at the Bengals. I don't think they go 3-3 the rest of the way.
Yeah, that's a tough ask with that schedule there.
Yeah, I mean everything was perfect for yesterday, right? You get the punt return, you get the quick touchdown, you get another one after a good throw. So you're playing downhill the whole way. I mean, the Raiders can't do anything. It gave up 10 sacks. It was the worst matchup ever. It's why I liked Cleveland plus the 3 and a hook and everything. So now I think they'll get better, and they still have a really good defense in these games. So maybe they eke out. I mean, 2 wins, but 3-3. That's a tough. Now the juice is pretty heavy at $1.86.
I got dug down the rabbit hole now for adjusted win totals. That's what I did with my Monday morning after I took the kids to school, Doug. I looked at adjusted win totals.
As you should with your Mondays.
Don't forget, Bet Rivers tonight, NFL primetime, first touchdown, second chance bet. Players who opt in on the Bet Rivers app or at betrivers.com will receive a second chance token for any first touchdown wager on each game day of course, primetime NFL games. See the Bet Rivers app or website for full details. Maybe we have a little fun, take a Carolina guy tonight. Maybe we'll take McMillan there this evening. Something a little long distance for first touchdown with the second chance bet that we'll have. There you go. All right, NBA. 10 games tonight in the association. We got a Peacock doubleheader to kick things off. Cavs at the Raptors is the first game of this doubleheader tonight. Now, I know the Cavs, the Raptors beat them a couple weeks ago, right? This is the second time that they're playing so far this season. This is now at Bet Rivers, Raptors -1 and a 232.5 and a laundry list of injuries for Cleveland, Doug.
This is really interesting because these high-profile, national broadcasts, usually Adam Silver wants full attendance, but that's not going to be the case. So Cleveland last played yesterday, so it's a back-to-back, and then their next game's Friday. So a long list of these guys are out to give them sort of a quarter break, if you will, of the season. So Garland, Hunter, Allen, I mean, those guys are serious minutes. Sam Merrill plays a lot off the bench. Now, Donovan Mitchell's still a go, but I lean to the Raptors here. They're going to be without R.J. Barrett, which I think may not be the worst thing in the world. And I think they're just a really tough team. And I think the mindset of the Cavs is going to be interesting with all these guys out. I think Mitchell could go off, but I just think they're going to be limited here. So that's why I like Toronto -1. I think it's the right angle.
They have won 7 in a row, the Raptors, coming into tonight. And
my Raptors as well.
I would like to thank them for that 30-point smash job against Washington on Friday night. That was very helpful to me on Friday night's NBA Cup games, as they have kind of sewed up that first group there in the Eastern Conference. All right, next, the second game, good one, Rockets in Phoenix against the Suns. Right now at Bet Rivers, you can get the Rockets -6, 225.5. This is just after 9:30 East, Doug.
Yeah, fade the Suns at your own risk. We talked about it Friday. I liked them against the T-Wolves. They won outright. This team is a wagon, dare I say. I'm actually really happy for them because obviously they brought in new owners. They tried to go all in and get Durant and that Bradley Beal experiment. And then they just reset. They hit the hard reset, got Beal out of there, flipped Durant and actually did him a favor, traded him to a team he wanted to go to. They didn't have to do it, but they did the right thing. And they have this young nucleus of solid players. And I've been so impressed with, they have a new coach and they're kind of just all the pieces fit. And you have sort of an enforcer with Dylan Brooks. Obviously, you have Booker, who's an all-star. And then these other guys fit well. And Grayson Allen bombs threes. Gillespie's been fantastic. We all know him from the Final Four runs with Villanova. He's been excellent. This team has lost once in like the last 10 games. And that was the game they were up 26 in the fourth and blew it to Atlanta. So this team's been on an absolute just beating up on teams who annoy any sports fan because they play the wrong way, right? Like they've beaten the Clippers 3 times because they play team ball and they play hard and the Clippers don't. Okay. They also lost to the Warriors. Totally understandable. It was in the Bay Area. So now that they got healthy and they got Booker going there, like they've basically beaten everyone but the one blown lead and then at Golden State. So I've been really impressed. Don't want to lay the 6. Rockets are so interesting, Carver. They're dead last, I think, in 3-pointers per game. But they also are like the highest in terms of efficiency on offense and percentage. So they're just a really interesting team, and they love to offensive rebound. So they crash the boards like no other. It's a really interesting team. I was listening to a podcast recently, and someone sort of likened it to a hockey team that just like peppers the net and tries to get directionals and rebounds and things like that. So they're basically just chucking shots, knowing Steven Adams and Sengun and company can get offensive rebounds because they have all this length. Durant's been fantastic, playing efficiently like he always does. So I think it's a really fun game to watch.
It is a fun game to watch, and I did watch a little bit of the Friday night Rocket game with the Nuggets, which was a great finish that we had, and that was just stayed under for us. We did not want overtime in that game, on Friday night.
No, we did not.
It did not get there. Bulls are in New Orleans against the Pelicans. Bulls minus 5.5 on the road. 245. Big number tonight.
That's interesting. We've picked on the Pelicans a few times here, right? We've singled them out, but at full strength, they've been okay, right?
Yep.
Herb Jones is excellent. Zion's been a force at within the framework. Derek Queen's been solid as a rookie. I'm betting on the Bulls and what sometimes, and we talk about this, the narratives and things like that over a long NBA season. And I thought it was really interesting. The Bulls outlasted the Wizards. And it was 121-120. Vucevic on the court was interviewed by the broadcast sideline reporter. And instead of being all joyful and like, we got the dramatic win, and he's a 15-year veteran. The other young guys were jumping around behind him, like goofing off. And he was just stone cold, said things like, it's unacceptable. This performance was not up to NBA standards. Mm-hmm. And this is not a guy who's like super intense like this. So it was a really interesting reaction because you don't see that in middle of November, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm just think they're a bet on spot. I think the Bulls off that sort of leadership. Now maybe it's all sort of factored into the line and doesn't materialize, but I think there's a little bit of line value. Like you kind of know what you're getting with the Bulls, as opposed to sometimes teams across the NBA take lowly opponents like lightly and kind of mail it in, and maybe sometimes I think this is a good spot for the Bulls here.
Laying 5.5 in Nolans tonight against the Pelicans. Elsewhere, your Jazz late night on the road, Golden State against the Warriors. 2 tutties and a hook here. 14.5 for Golden State and 237 flat the total.
What a finish last night. Down 10 with like 2.5 to go. You think they're going to like sub out guys and dribble out? No. They cut it to 1 and had the ball with a chance to lead, and then had down 2, had a 3 at the buzzer. This Jazz team signs up for 48, and we're here for it.
Yeah.
So I like first half over. These have been getting out of hand, these first half totals. So I just think teams like they'll run. They're going to run at you. They're going to play fast. Marketing's going to chuck. I like the more at home, like the first half totals at home over. But 115.5, I got to play it here. I think the Warriors, they've lost 3 straight, so they got their own issues right now. So I think over 115.5 is probably the right side here.
Yeah, big number there in the first half. Tee it high and let it fly, as we always, of course, do like to say. The Kings and the Timberwolves in Sacramento. I had to go look, Doug. I was like, I feel like this is like the 10th time they've played each other this year. It is the 3rd, which for this early in the season, that is a lot that they've already played this many times. Tonight, they are in Sacramento, minus 9.5 for many, 237.5 the total. All
right, so this is interesting. Sacto actually got a win in Denver Saturday night, and because I'm a loser, I was watching late Saturday night instead of doing fun things in Las Vegas. And they're not terrible, right? So we've made fun of the Kings, but I mean, look, if Levine's going off and DeRozan's executing, he drew a foul and got the and one when they were up 3 down with like 20 seconds to go. Keegan Murray's back, and I think that's a big help for Sacto. So that's really important to mention, especially with Sabonis out. And then Russ is now starting, and of course he was going against a former team, so he had a double-double. It wasn't rebounds, though. It was assists this time. So the Kings aren't a punching bag. The T-Wolves are off a loss, and usually they've been really good this year off a loss, particularly Ant. Ant flips the switch. He shoots a lot of threes. So I'm putting it all together. I don't want to lay the 9.5, but I also don't think they're going to like the beam either. So I'm going to go same game parlay, T-Wolves money line with Ant at least 3 made threes. Okay. 4 is plus money, but 3's too juicy. He's going to get the volume. He's going to have like 9 3-point attempts. But he was 1 for 7 in one game. That was off a loss. So I'm a little So I think this is the right way to go. I think T-Wolves get the win. They have a huge coaching edge. I think really highly of Chris Finch.
Yep.
And I think they're going to be motivated off a loss, that kind of thing.
There you go. Minus 132 now. Timberwolves money line and Ant for 3 threes tonight in that one. I am going to get to you got a little future shot here, and I will get to that. Let me just give you 1 or 2 others tonight before we move on. The Battle of New York, I guess, in Brooklyn, right? The Knicks and the Nets. at the Barclays Center. 13.5 for the Knicks here with a 228.
Yeah, they're off a loss, and that's a situation where I want to back them. The problem is the number's 13.5. Brooklyn's no prize, and I don't want to bet them. But that's a big number, and you just don't know with the scrubs and everything. And the Nets have showed some life. They beat the Celtics. Heck, then they lost by 20 the next game. So I think they're going to get rolled. Probably should be doing the first quarter team total thing like we've done in the past with New York and all that, 31.5, whatever it may be. But I'm going to pass here. But I'm keeping an eye on things. Seeing how the Nets have won some games recently and then gotten blown out the next game, I'm waiting for them to win, and then I can fade them hard the next game.
Yeah, that seems to be the way to go with them. And the other one that caught my eye that I'm probably going to go on is Detroit's going for 13 in a row tonight. Indiana, it's a big number. It's 10, but the Pacers stink. I might lay to 10 with the Pistons because they have covered some of these bigger numbers, Doug, in the last couple of weeks in this winning streak.
And the Pacers are getting, they're getting healthier, so they're getting better, right? McConnell's playing, Matherin's playing. We've touched on him. They only lost to Cleveland by 11, but they were down 19 entering the fourth, but they were down 7 at the break. If you look at their starting lineup, it's a little bit more respectful, right? There's Pascal Siakam, then Nebhard, Matherin. These are real players as opposed to what they had the last month or so. So that's what's giving me pause. And like you said, it's a big number, but Pistons aren't messing around. Like, they're in FU mode, and I'm here for it. I really, really like seeing them just every night bring it. And Cade's been awesome, but so is Jalen Duren. I mean, he's a favorite for comeback player of the year for a good reason, or most. Yeah. Excuse me.
Speaking of some awards, you did have something on here that you wanted to mention today. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mentioned Sacramento, right? We were talking about them, and I'm like, Russell Westbrook's now starting. Well, what does that mean? Someone has to go to the bench. And he replaced Dennis Schroeder in the lineup, and Schroeder's been putting up some sick numbers. We all know his game, right? German Rondo, and he's 100-1. So, like I say, I've made worse bets, right? I think if he continues to put up these stat lines, and then things, stay the course with Westbrook as a starter, he could be really strong. Now, it's Sacramento, and teams like that don't, especially on the West Coast, don't really get awards and recognition, and they're not going to be good this year, but it's also 100-1, and he could put up some egregious numbers. So I just wanted to put that on someone's radar. I haven't pulled the trigger yet, but it's something I'm eyeing, because I'll tell you what, I know the odds makers are not eyeing it, right? Favorites right now are, Jaquez Jr. has been awesome for the Heat. AJ Mitchell has been a total find for OKC, and he's going to get a lot of minutes. Josh Hart's coming off the bench for New York. Okongwu's been really solid for the Hawks. Reed Shepherd's been putting up some numbers. These guys all have more sort of attention, but just put it on your radar. Keep an eye on these Kings box scores.
All right, there you go. A little Schroeder for sixth man of the year moving forward. We're not done with hoops. Let's go to college. It is feast week in college basketball. Tons of games all day long, especially over the next couple of days leading up to Thanksgiving. We're everywhere today, Doug. We've got Maui. We've got all these games in Vegas. There's games in Fort Myers. You got the Sunshine Slam. You got basically everywhere you want to be for hoops. You can get it today. I did see Tennessee thumped Rutgers earlier out in Vegas, as there's a bunch of games happening at a couple of different venues there. Seton Hall up 13 on NC State and Maui with a couple of minutes to go in the second half. And how about the Irish only down 7 to Kansas in Vegas? So there is a lot happening, Doug. It's a big week if you're a college hoops fan.
It really is. I think we had 3 games at 11 a.m. Eastern tip-off on a Monday morning. You don't get that very often. In March Madness, sure, you champ week, all that, but not usually. So there's a lot of games that they're all over the place. Caught my eye. Got to be careful. Remember, these books can put up numbers because they can put up two-way action.
Yep.
But things along those lines. It's always really sort of, because look, we've seen a lot of dogs. I mean, look at Troy over the weekend, right?
Right.
Double overtimes and buzzer beaters and big dogs that are covering. So it's not just the chalk hammering teams, obviously, but you got to know your stuff, and it's fun to watch, but don't just jump in for no reason.
Well, let's give some of the bigger ones here tonight. We'll start with St. John's and Iowa State. They are actually just tipping now. that game in Vegas, of course, one of these the Players Era Festival games. Iowa State -3 with a 158 as they just got going, Doug.
I think I have to take St. John's. Iowa State, obviously, the higher ranked team and everything, but I just think St. John's, having battled good teams already, and especially Alabama, I just think the battle tested team is going to be more ready for this kind of game. Iowa State's been rolling. I think Pitino's a much better coach over TJ, so I'm going to side with the Johnnies here.
Also in Vegas, coming up in just a little bit over an hour at the MGM Grand Garden is Syracuse and Houston, as they will get together. Houston, 2 tutties and a hook, -14.5, 141.5 the total.
Houston's got a bigger game on deck. They played down to their opponent in the last game, so I lean Syracuse here. It's just a lean because on paper, Houston's like every bit national championship contender, right? But I just wonder if they're going to play with their food a little too much.
Was flying through my Bet Rivers app trying to find those last 2 games, and then I realized I live in New York, and that's why I don't have St. John's and Syracuse on my Bet Rivers app as I was flying through, Doug, trying to find the up to the second lines for both of those. Auburn and Oregon, really good one tonight as well. That is just after 8 o'clock East, where the two of them will get together. -3 for Auburn. 152.5 is the total in this one.
I joked that I'm going to go broke betting against Steve Pearl. So this is just a regular play. I think he's done a wonderful job, and all kudos to him. A lot of people were accusing nepotism and everything. I'm going to bet on Dana Altman here. I think, catch half, West Coast in their kind of night game for them, normal time, I should say. I'll just side with them, but it's not a huge play or anything like that.
I'm with you. I like Oregon here today as well, in this spot against Auburn. So that's the first one that I'm probably going to dip my toe in the water with. I would say the best game of the day is this Gonzaga-Alabama game. And that is just after 9:30 East. Gonzaga -4.5. Total now up to 178.5 at Bet Rivers.
Yeah, I'm going to lead to the Tide. I've talked about, my fear of fading them and everything like that. Gonzaga's been so impressive, especially at the Kennel, but that's not where this game is. It's right here in Vegas. And I think it's just too many points. We're going to have an up and down game. These totals are crazy with Alabama. We know that they take threes or score in the paint. I just think for 40 minutes, they get you playing their way, and they're just better at playing their way than you are. And they'll cover. I mean, we saw that game with Illinois last week, and it was riveting and all that, and free throws and all that. But for the most part, last 5 minutes, Bama was the right side. Bama was the team that had control of the game, and they hit big shots even when other teams come back and even take the lead. I just don't want to bet against Bama the rest of the year unless it's a huge number and it's like a flat spot or something like that.
I'm with you. I don't think I want to go after Bama really in any of these spots. And you respect Gonzaga; they're unbelievable. But give me 4.5 with Bama tonight. That seems pretty good to me. The last game of the night in Vegas, I believe, just after 10:30 East, at the Michelob Ultra Arena. Which one's that, Doug? Which one's the Ultra? Is that the
where MGM is, I believe?
Oh,
yeah,
it's right over there with that one. San Diego State and Michigan. Tonight, -6 for the Wolverines, 147.5.
The Aces typically play here, not T-Mobile, right? So I think San Diego State's the side you got to play. I'm going to take the points here. Michigan, we saw as a big chalk recently. I think it was Wake that took them down to the wire. Aztecs don't have the same team they've had in recent years. They don't have this lockdown defense. That's their calling card and everything. But I think 6 is a little too many. I think this could come down to the wire here.
Could come down to the wire, indeed. Now, UNLV also playing in Vegas tonight, although not at their usual home spot. They'll be at the Grand Garden. Now, I apologize, Doug. This is even later. I didn't realize how late these are going.
Oh, yeah.
Midnight for UNLV in Maryland. Maryland -3, 162.
Give me the Terps. I mean, I know the late night and everything, but kids rather stay up late than have to get up early. Like if UNLV were on the East Coast and it was a body clock 9 a.m. game, like we've touched on with some of these Big Ten teams and matchups, and the West Coast teams have to go to the Midwest. Maryland, a lot of people criticize because they lost that early game to Georgetown, but Georgetown's demonstrated that they're better than people realize coming into the season. UNLV's ceiling is actually rather high. They don't have the consistency yet, and I think it's going to take some time for them, new coaching staff, all that. I'm going to roll with the Terps here, minus the 3.
Terps minus the 3. These games in Vegas are unbelievable at both of those venues tonight and tomorrow. Lots of good ones, but we do have Maui going on too. Of course, the Maui games. Now, one of them is not great because I guess they let Chaminade back in, Doug. Didn't they take Chaminade out for a little while of the Maui Invitational, but now they've put them back in. The late night game is Arizona State and Texas. This has actually gone down to 6.5 now for the Longhorns. I know me and you saw this earlier with a 7, and I was thinking,
7.5 too,
yeah, 7.5. And I was thinking Sun Devils, kind of also because didn't they go there a little bit earlier too, Doug? Remember they played Hawaii at the end of last week when we were talking about, so Hurley has spent a little extra time out on the island. Maybe they've adjusted a little bit better. Texas really has only played Duke so far. Arizona State hasn't really played anybody either, but kind of lean to the dog here, Doug.
Yeah. Hurley's, I don't know if he's on thin ice or what's the best way to explain it. But this Texas team hasn't really delivered the last few years. They lost by 15 to Duke to open the season. I think we laid the 9.5 that night. Then they've beat up on some punching bags. I don't love this Longhorns team and everything. I just think they're gonna need some time themselves. And I think Hurley's gonna make it crazy, and he's gonna be yelling at the refs and all that. I think it's gonna be a good time to grab the points here. It's gonna be an ugly game.
Ugly game out in Maui for the late night. I think you get USC and Boise also in Miami. I think that's the other game that's going to be out there. Washington State's playing Chaminade as well out there on the Big Island for tonight. Now, you do have a women's game as well, which I think does tip in about 20, 30 minutes from now, Doug.
Yeah. I should say I like where Texas program is headed with Sean Miller and everything. But yeah, Auburn women. This line's moved from 5.5 to 6.5. UTSA lost its 2 leading scorers from last year. They've lost a couple games where they've been outclassed. I think that's going to be the case here. Low total, though. 121.5 is on the low side. But I think War Eagle, even though the game's in Texas, I think this is the way to play this one. Should be a double-digit win, according to my people.
We always say when we get texts or calls with college basketball, both on the men's and the women's side, those usually are those put the antennas up, Doug, for everybody that's watching. Make sure that you get involved there. So really big night of hoops, both both men's and the women's on the college side. Of course, if you like what you hear on our show, as you should, make sure that you sign up for the Betting Weekly Studios newsletter, get exclusive tips and the free Insider magazine. Sign up for free at bettingweeklystudios.com. Don't forget to also subscribe to the Betting Weekly Studios channel on YouTube. You should do that as well. There you go. Sign up for free, bettingweeklystudios.com. I got mine in my inbox today as well. We have hockey tonight, 7 games in the NHL. So with the holiday, you get like a weird, usually NHL's heavy Tuesday, Thursday night. This week, Doug, it's Monday, Wednesday, where you get the most action for the NHL. We talked a little bit at the top of the show. Good sweat with the Kraken as they still don't get it done on the second leg of a back-to-back out on the island against the Islanders yesterday. We do have some games tonight. Why don't we start in the Garden? Blues and the Rangers tonight. The Rangers are coming home after a 0-3 road trip. So the Rangers are now last in the division, second to last in the Eastern Conference. They have been absolutely miserable at home to the tune of 1-7-1. Man, they have been bad. The good news for them is, though, Doug, the Blues ain't that great either. The Blues, of course, actually have less points than the Rangers. And they're starting their backup goalie tonight, who's got like a 4 goals against. Well, that's why you get the Rangers at Rangers minus 143, and they can't win games at home. Wild number.
We've touched on this, and I looked at previous years, and usually even the bad teams are like fine at home. This is outrageous. 1-7-1. It's absurd. They've won 1 game at home this year. You can't lay the $1.43, but like you said, the Blues are no prize, and it's just
kind of like the over, believe it or not. Like,
okay,
maybe
you got back and goalie, like you said.
Maybe, and I don't think I would as much at 6 or 6.5. If it was one of those bigger numbers, I probably wouldn't. But 5.5 with this guy in for the Blues who stinks. And I saw his name this morning, and I was looking at it. I go, this guy has been so bad for them. What's his name here? This Hoffer. That's in there. Joel Hoffer. He's having some year. 3.89, an 870 save percentage. And maybe the Rangers can get something going against this guy. Shesterkin has not been that great at home either. Maybe he gives up a couple. I think it's over or nothing, Doug, if I'm in on the Blues and the Rangers tonight. That's probably it for me.
I think that's the right way to play it.
Now, there are 6 other games that you can get involved with this evening as well. I'll give you a couple that caught my eye. The Red Wings are in Newark, across the river there in Jersey against the Devils. The Devils are 141 at home. Red Wings plus $1.15. This is a flat 6. The Devils have lost 3 games in a row. They're having trouble scoring goals without Jack Hughes in the lineup. Red Wings are in first place in the Atlantic. They've been playing pretty well. I think I'm going to take a little plus money with the Red Wings tonight, plus 115. They're catching the Devils on a little bit of a downspin right now.
Right. I can see, there's ebb and flow, like you said. We've talked about the NBA 82-game season. And if they're on a downswing, we don't know when that's going to end, right? Just kind of ride it. Catch the wave, if you will.
Catch the wave. And that's what I'm thinking there as far as Detroit and the Devils. The other one was Vegas and Utah. Now, this game's out in Utah. They just played there at the end of last week. This is the second time they're playing in Utah. Vegas beat them 4-1 out there. The Mammoths snapped a long losing streak over the weekend. But the one thing, and they have been such an up and down team. They are on now a run of, I believe it's 5 unders in a row. They had a run of like 7 overs in a row. Now they've got an under of 5 unders in a row. The game was under with Vegas and Utah last week. Vegas hasn't exactly been lighting up the scoreboard either. I like the under at 6, Doug. Flat 6, I'd like the under with Utah and Vegas.
I can get behind that. I kind of like the Knights here. They're off a loss themselves, although the road trip, it's not a huge road trip, but, they just lost to the Ducks. I think they can handle their business here. We've talked about the Knights and I think they've turned the corner here.
I agree with you. If side, it's Knights for me. They just beat them there last week. The Mammoth aren't that great. So I can go Vegas along with the under. As far as everything else, the Flyers are in Tampa, paying a pretty big price for their Lightning. They've been playing well. It's up to 182 now for Tampa Bay. You've got Columbus and Washington against the Caps. The Panthers are in Nashville against the Predators, who are just awful. And late night, the Ottawa Senators are actually going for the California sweep. They've already won in Anaheim and San Jose on this trip, and they try to finish the job against the Kings at home, but they're like the Rangers. The Kings at home won 4-3. They've lost 7 of their 8 games at home. Can't win at the Crypto. Bizarre. Completely.
And here come the Senators who are rolling on the road. Does this never happen? Or if the schedule sets up where they've won the first 2, does the third one sort of fall flat by chance? Like, what typically happens in these scenarios?
Sometimes, look, I think sometimes, Doug, this depends on how good the team is at the end.
Obviously, always,
And I think that Ottawa is kind of been raising up the last year and a half. They've been playing a lot better hockey, especially making the playoffs last year. I could see them doing this. And I think what also sometimes factors in, Doug, is the trip's not over for them. They still have, I believe, Vegas after this. I think when you're just doing the 3 and maybe you're going home after that third California stop, maybe there's a little antsy to get home, not try to finish the job. But when you're still going out on the road, I think it's a little business. I could see Ottawa tonight in LA against the Kings.
Okay. So, just keep it rolling. They're not done yet. They don't have one foot out the door, so to speak. Right. No senioritis on this road trip.
I would play against them. I believe they're in Vegas Wednesday night before going home.
Maybe going to the game.
So, you get a little Ottawa. We play against Ottawa on Wednesday night at the end of a long, possibly successful road trip, especially if they win that tonight. So there you go with pucks, 7 games tonight in the NHL. As far as college football goes, almost missed the show. Any thoughts on Syracuse? 12-1 odds to beat Houston. The outright Henry's looking for here, Doug? He wants the outright money line.
Carmelo's son. Why not? I would not, although I do feel it's a little bit of a look-ahead spot for Houston. I just think the talent gap is too much.
It is a
But
lot.
12 to 1 is to
It
12 to
is.
1. Yeah.
It is a little bit for it. As far as college football goes, before we get to the best bets, again, another crazy weekend. Oregon did get it done against USC. Of course, again, a team gets handed the ball in the ACC and they drop it. That was Georgia Tech against Pitt on Saturday night. Notre Dame completely ripped through Syracuse. Anything catching your eye as we head into the final week of the regular season here?
In terms of team futures, you can now see the picture, right? The grid. We know Oregon only has Washington left. Okay. They're not going to make the Big Ten title game. So sometimes that can really be advantageous. Like, let's say Ohio State rolls Indiana. Now, maybe that's a bad example because Indiana already won at Autzen, but maybe it's the other way around. Maybe Indiana rolls Ohio State. Should Oregon be ahead of the Buckeyes, right? If their only loss is to what's going to be the number one team in the country, why should they be punished more than Ohio State, right? Neutral,
Right.
all that. So I'm just saying Texas could lose to Texas A&M. The Egg Bowl could certainly go against Ole Miss if Lane Kiffin's distracted. Oregon right now will have a home playoff game the first week. They may get a bye. If A&M loses, they may stumble into something. You don't know. Alabama could lose the Iron Bowl. So Ducks at 14 to 1 has caught my eye a little bit just because I think last year's experience is going to really help them. I think having gone to the playoff and seeing Ohio State come in and manhandle them from the start, they were more ready for a playoff football game. I think this year the Ducks have answered some calls, right? Answered the USC call, answered going to Kinnick in that situation. I think Lanning's growing up as a head coach in front of our eyes. That has my attention because I don't think any of these teams are dominant. I don't think the Buckeyes are dominant. We'll see eventually when they get to face Michigan even, but more so the Big Ten title game. But Georgia's got issues, especially on defense. Bama, inconsistency. They don't really go at a fast pace. 14 to 1 for a team that's going to have a home game and then, go from there. That's tempting.
It is tempting. Absolutely, man. And just imagine if they got a bye. You're right. Things could fall some ways over the next 2
not
weeks.
playing can help. Not playing can help.
It's not playing can absolutely help. And Ohio State now, you saw the big board there. They are the favorites, plus 180 to win the entire thing. I guess they finally get to play someone this week, though, right? They're finally playing someone against Michigan coming up on Saturday.
I think that number's cheap. I think this is going to be a beatdown. Remember last year, the reason they struggled with Minnesota or Michigan and lost is because the guy who just got fired from the Raiders, and that's Chip Kelly. He was calling a horrible game. Will Howard threw bad picks, and it was just a hot mess of a game. And then they sort of figured it out, and then Kelly remembered how to be an OC, high-powered OC, and got it done. It's no slight. I'm not ripping the Buckeyes. I mean, heck, they scheduled Texas, the number one team in the country, in their opener. But the problem is Texas wasn't very good. And so, they went to Illinois and won, but that game was weird, and they only won by 18. And then Penn State ended up being not good when they played. We don't know about the Buckeyes. They're good. They're obviously really good. It's just when you factor in the price of them and then the next club, are they that much? Are we sure they're that amazing? And that would be my only concern, because otherwise we should stop chasing these big tickets, right? These big numbers, like the Ducks at 14 to 1 and all this. Maybe we should just be betting Ohio State plus 180. If we think they're that good, then they're going to have a bye probably regardless, right? Even if they lose to Indiana in the Big Ten title game. And then they're sort of made for this. And Day and those guys have experience. They're the defending champs. It's kind of either or, right? We should be taking these big prices or taking plus 180.
It's one or the other. This one, look, I'm very interested to see them in Indiana next week. It is going to be, and like you said, both could still get a bye, but it's a very, very intriguing game. Can't wait to see Ohio State finally play some good Big Ten competition over the next few weeks. We do have some action tomorrow that we will get to, the final action on Tuesday night. So we have a few games there. So plenty of college football that we will do. Western and Eastern Michigan, a tradition unlike any other on Maction. All right, it is time, Doug. Someone put it in the chat box earlier. We're going to get another daily double run starting tonight. Best bet for me, I will go with that hockey game that I just mentioned. I think we get a little bit of a slower pace tonight. Mammoth have been playing some unders. I think Vegas can shut them down. I'm going to go under 6, Vegas and Utah for my side of the best bet this evening.
I mentioned I watched the Kings game Saturday night. They showed me something. Going into Denver, holding off the Nuggets comeback, beating Jokic and company and all that. Keegan Murray returning is big, but I still need to see it to believe it a little bit more. So I think it was a good spot then, not here. T-Wolves are off a loss. I think they get the win in Sacto. I want to add the same game parlay component with Ant to have at least 3 made threes. 4 is a little too rich. That's why I want to go 3+, and then the Minnesota money line. So 134, that's going to be my best bet today.
So it's kind of, we've got like the daily double and a quarter today is what we're going with. The daily double and a quarter, a little on the end. Vegas, Utah, under 6 with Doug's SGP. Minnesota money line, Ant with the 3 threes, plus 222, triple twos.
Okay.
For us on the daily double for tonight. Let's get back to it, baby. Let's go. I'm excited. I was very upset.
I'm in as well.
I was very upset with Hawaii on Friday night, Doug. How they
ruined the offense. I mean, they had the dropped bomb as well. That didn't help. Yeah, but outside of that, Alejado was sort of had happy feet and things like that. He just wasn't, he didn't shred this UNLV defense like he should have. The offense for the Rebels was clicking.
Just couldn't contribute. We just needed a little bit from Hawaii, and we couldn't get there. All right, Doug. Great job, as always. Great job by everybody here. Betting Weekly Live. We're back with you tomorrow. Remember, 4 p.m. East, 1 p.m. Pacific. Good to see we still had a good crew in the chat box for the earlier start. We get everybody going there. Gives you a little bit more time to get the plays in. Have a great night. We're back tomorrow, as I said. Maction, NBA, NHL, another huge night of college hoops. And, of course, we'll go for 2 with a couple early looks for the NFL and the college for this weekend as well. Mike Carver, Doug Kezirian, Betting Weekly Live, Betting Weekly Studios, part of the Bet Rivers Network. Have a great night, and we will see you back here tomorrow.